everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm glad you're here, and welcome to another Twisted Sisters video hop. This month, the Twisted Sisters are twisting products from the May-June catalog, and I have chosen fresh paint papers, okay? So normally you would look at these papers and you think teens and tweens and I don't know, skateboarding and bike riding and just everything all teen. So I'm going to show you how to use these papers for very different cards, okay? I'm going to make them a little more feminine and pretty, all right? So the first card I'm going to make is a slimline card. So I'm trimming my base at 3.5 by 8.5, and that's the spray painted papers that are in Sundance. And then I'm going to cut another piece the same size, and I'm going to die cut it with these slimline frames. Okay, it's a stitched frame, and so I've got the papers that look like sponged paint, and I've created a frame out of it. So I'm going to use stamps from the Hope and Kindness set, and this stamp says sending you kindness, and I'm going to stamp it on my background in evergreen ink. So we'll get that down. And then we'll stamp sending you right above it. And then I'm going to bring in some white daisy. So this is the stamp set, and it's got some floral images and some nice big titles, but you can also use them for cards. So I've got some white daisy cardstock, and I'm going to stamp my floral images in black ink, and I'm just stamping a whole bunch of them. I don't know how many I'm going to want to use on my card front, but I like to stamp and cut out a whole bunch so I have a lot to choose from when I'm putting my card together. And then I'll take it off camera and die cut everything and color all of these images in with tri-blend markers. And then I'm also going to die cut some leaves from the Layered Flowers Thin Cut set. Okay, so everything's colored in and cut out, and we're ready to start assembling our card. So I have a slimline card base, and I'm going to do pretty basic assembly here. I'm using Tombow tape runner. I'll put that card base down first, and then I'll add that stitch frame with some glue. And using a wet adhesive gives you a couple of seconds to make adjustments and place the frame where it needs to go. So it's not a one and done. You have a quick second to kind of move things around and get it lined up. Okay. And then I'm going to lay out my leaves or die cut and my florals just to kind of get an idea of what I want to use on my card front. Okay, so I've glued things down, and I've also popped flowers with foam tape, and then I'm going to add a little tango of gold embellishing thread in the upper right corner of my flower cluster there. And then to finish it off, I'm going to add some acrylic dots. These are the black and white acrylic dots. So I'm going to use just the black ones, and they come in 3 different sizes. And I'm just going to scatter a whole bunch of those around my card front. I think it turned out pretty. Lots of bright, pretty colors, happy colors. Okay, so there's my first card. I'll have some close-up shots here. Really pretty. Nice and bright and happy. Okay, let's make another card. So this time I'm going to use this, it's kind of looks like spray painted hearts on a concrete wall. And I'm going to die cut them with the stitched squares. And I'm lining up my squares in a diamond shape. And then I'm going to use the Hope and Kindness stamp and thin cut set. And then I'm going to use this pattern paper that looks like dripping paint. and that's going to be my background. So I'm cutting it in A2 card size, which is 4.25 by 5.5. And I'm going to line up those diamonds on that card front. Okay, so I'm going to stamp out the word beautiful, and it has a coordinating die cut. And I'm using the light side of mink. And then I've got some white daisy, and I'm stamping UR. And then I'll do a quick fussy cut and trim this out. And then the word beautiful, I'm going to stamp in Versamark ink. First, I'm going to trim this cardstock down to a more workable size. And then I'm going to stamp the word beautiful in Versamark ink. And I'm going to use heat embossing powder on it. And this is from Nuvo. It's a glitter noir. So it has lots of sparkles and glitter in it. And I lucked out. It stamped cleanly, but I forgot to use my anti-static powder pouch. So be sure you do that before you stamp. I always forget to do that. So this time I got lucky and it stamped clean. So then I'm going to just heat it up real quick and melt that embossing powder. And then off screen, I will die cut it with the coordinating die cut. Okay. All right, so I've cut 2 more in white cardstock and I've stacked them to give my sentiment a little more dimension and stability. I like to do that with word die cuts, especially to stack them. Okay, so now I'm going to line up these diamonds on my card front, and I'm using the measurements on my Versamat, and it is taking me a couple seconds to find the center there. And then this one's a little more tricky because you need to lay down the left and the right diamond first. So I found the center, and then I need to find line up and center the left and right diamond as well. So it's about an 1.5 inches in is where the point goes. So I'll get those 2 down. And then I'll put the center one over them both. Making sure before I put everything down. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim off the excess. And then I'll put my card front, I'll attach it to my card base. So this is going to be a top fold A2 card. And then I'm going to pop part of my sentiment that says "you are," and then the word beautiful I'm going to add with some glue, and we'll just put that down in the center of those diamonds, kind of off center. It's a little lower so I have room for the "you are." And then I have some of these black acrylic hearts, and I'm going to pick out a couple of them and add them right above my sentiment. I'll attach those with glue dots. And then for the last step, I thought I was finished, but then I decided to doodle a little black line around the edges of my card to kind of give it a finished look. So I've just got a Close to My Heart journaling pen, and I'm doodling a line around the edge. And there's my finished card. And here's some close-up shots. So pretty. Okay, last card. This one I'm using the May Stamp of the Month, and I'm also going to use For All Occasions, along with the 2 3/4 inch circle from the Circle Thin Cut set. So I'm going to use the sponged paper, the spray paint paper, and the dripping paint paper, and then also a piece of sapphire cardstock. So this is the light side of sapphire, so I'm going to cut about 6 inches, and then I'm going to cut about 3 inches of this piece of the sponged paper, and then I'm going to die cut a circle with the spray painted one. So my card base is going to be the dripping paint. Kind of strategically looking at the design and deciding if I want the darker part of the ombre to be on my card front. So that's my card front. And now I've got this mountain scene already in my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp it on both the sponged paint pattern paper and the sapphire cardstock. So we'll get those down, and then off screen I will fussy cut this image out. So we'll get that stamped down. And I think the design of the sponged paper, it's got enough interest in it, so I don't really need to add anything more to my scene. Okay, so I'm going to fussy cut those off screen. All right, now we're going to do a little more stamping. So I have this little tree, and I'm going to use evergreen ink, and I'm just going to stamp a few trees on the mountainside there. And then I've got some more of this dripping paint paper, and it's the lighter area of the ombre, and I'm going to stamp some clouds. And then I'll fussy cut those as well. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp my sentiment also on this dripping paint ombre paper. And it says, "Wishing you well." Then I'm going to trim around that sentiment and create a little banner. So I'm just trimming around the edges there of the sentiment. And then I'll dovetail one end. So just snip vertically and take each of those corners to meet that snip. And you've got your dovetail. And I'm going to bring in that Close My Heart journaling pen, and I'm going to doodle around that the border of that banner as well. Just so it pops a little more on that card front. And then we're ready to start assembling. Okay, so I have a card base, and this is an A2, and it's also going to be a top fold. So I'll put that dripping paint pattern paper down first. And don't make my mistake, put your sun down first before you put your mountain scene down. But again, I lucked out and I was able to pull it up to slide that sun underneath. So I'm just putting everything down with Tombow tape runner. There we go. I remembered the sun. I'm just going to scooch it under there and we're good. Okay, and then I'll add that mountain, and I'm kind of staggering it so the outline of sapphire shows behind it and gives it a little more dimension. And I'll just flip it over and trim off the excess. And I'm going to add my clouds with some foam tape. Then I'll add my sentiment, also with some foam tape. We'll get that down. And then I'll add my last cloud. And then I have this stamp that looks like a bird flying. So I'm going to stamp a few of those around. All right, and then for the last step, I'm going to add a little shimmer brush in sapphire lake reflecting the mountains. So pretty, nice and bright and cheerful. So be sure to check out all of the other Twisted Sister videos for the May-June catalog and see what kind of cool things they've done with the different products in that catalog. And I will make a list of all the supplies that I used with links in the description below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And then you'll be able to find all of my videos. And thanks for watching.